On the bright side, the curse is broken, right? Only one Community Shield winner, I think ever or something like that. Somebody might have to correct me, but has ever gone on to win the Premier League after winning the Community Shield. So you know what? I think we're gonna be all right after this one. But there are some glaring issues and there's some glaring problems, obviously, that need to be addressed with this Liverpool side. Let's be clear: the first half was fantastic. I was very happy with that first half, especially with the Hugo and Florian link up. It looked really good and it looked very promising. They're very, very skillful players. Um, but obviously the fitness isn't all the way there. And I was thinking this to myself the other day that I was hoping that Hugo and Florian and a lot of these newer players actually got more minutes in preseason than they did. I feel like we played a lot of the young players a lot, and the senior team didn't really get their fitness going. And we can see that. I think we saw that today because a lot of them looked tired. A lot of them did not look all the way match fit, and that was including Florian. Florian looked exhausted when he was coming out for Harvey and Hugo looked tired when he came out as well. But the goal today was absolutely beautiful from Hugo. I haven't seen a number 9 for Liverpool do that, control the ball, play the 1-2 with his attacking midfielder, fake the shot, go in, slot it in the bottom right hand corner from just outside of the box in a really long time. Right. Florian Wirtz kept the midfield ticking in that first half, and I loved what I saw. It was that second half that kind of he fell off a little bit. So did Hugo a little bit. And you could see the tiredness in the legs from a lot of the newer players, right? But as for that Jeremy Frimpong goal, a lot of people saying that he meant it. I'm not sure if he did or not, but we like the celebration. We like the celebration. Hopefully he can continue to do that. And I love the way that he was able to just get up and down the pitch in that first half as well. Was good defensively in the first half and very good offensively in the first half. Was doing a lot of underlapping and overlapping for Mo Salah, but more underlapping, which I've noticed in a couple of the preseason matches. And Mo is going out super, super wide. I'm not sure if I love that because Mo is not really, especially in this game, he wasn't very involved. He wasn't very involved in the game. And it was worrying me a little bit about where Mo Salah fits into this whole team and the new look of this team, where Florian is, left to free roam. And sometimes he will occupy some of those spaces that Mo typically drifts into. I'm curious on how Slot is going to be able to mesh all of this together with the rumors around Isak not going away. How does that work all together? Because we're still trying to figure it out how it's going to work with the players that we do have. So it was very interesting. I'm very happy with the new players, but I got a bone to pick with some of the old guard. But before we jump into that, because there's a lot to talk about and a lot of responsibility needs to be taken with the older players, with the players that have been here versus the new players. The new players showed up today. Let's be very clear there. The new players showed up today. It's the old guard that I got a bone to pick with. But before we do that, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 9,000 subs. Absolutely huge. Appreciate everybody for subscribing in the last video. We're gonna keep this thing going. And happy new season. We're getting into the new season, baby. First preseason, in season kind of game going on, stuff like that. Subscribe. We're gonna be doing this all season long. We're gonna be going back live, all that good stuff. But the old guard ghosted. The old guard ghosted. Gakpo is nowhere to be found. Salah was nowhere to be found. Curtis Jones didn't look good today. Sabo looked overwhelmed in the midfield playing with Curtis Jones today because Curtis was just not available a majority of those times in that Ryan Gravenberch position. And we'll talk about the importance of Ryan a little bit more in this because I think that is the story of this match. But I was really disappointed. Mo Salah, like I mentioned before, was drifting way too wide, and I don't know what it was about the penalties and stuff like that. We're going to talk about that in a second. I think he needs to change his form a little bit because he changed it from the previous one, and I think he needs to go back to doing the long run up and just slamming it home instead of, I think it was like a 3-step or a 4-step that he took this time, and it's not working. He needs to go back to the previous penalty form, or we need to take him off the penalties. It's that simple. He struggled to get into this game. He struggled to create chances for himself. I don't know if we just weren't putting a lot of the creativity down there. I mean, I feel like we were because Frimpong was very involved, but his Frimpong's overlapping and his speed and his demanding of the ball and his ability, is that kind of hampering Mo a little bit, and Trent was more of a better foil? I don't know. It's been only been a couple games. These are just questions that I'm asking myself for Mo Salah. Cody Gakpo looked a little bit out of sorts, and a lot of the times it felt like he didn't know what the next step was and what he wanted to do. In the midfield, Sabo and Cujo need to not they need to not be a midfield duo. I don't think it works. I don't think they understand what their jobs is. I think Jones definitely doesn't understand what his job is in that defensive midfielding role that he's supposed to be deputizing for Ryan today, and he pretty much didn't exist in defense or in attack. There was a few times where he tried to turn with the ball, but he was turning back towards his own goal. Ryan turns with the ball in his own half all the time, but he turns away from goal, away from danger, right? And we'll talk about Ryan a little bit more and why he's so important in the side and why I think he's not the best midfielder in this side, but he is the midfield in this side. But let's talk about VVD a little bit. VVD was way too lax. He was way too lax and trying to aura farm too much. You know, I'm talking about, VVD is guilty of this, man. He tries to look too cool sometimes, and sometimes you have to not look cool to play good defense, right? And I think this is just one bad game. I don't The goals that he conceded and the mistakes that was made, they aren't signs of being washed. It's signs of complacency. And that's the main issue for me with VVD and how he performed today. Two lacks on that penalty. It was a soft one, but two lacks on that penalty. You know not to die for those types of things. Two lacks on the second goal where he darted forward after the alleged or supposed foul that we wanted off of Gakpo, which was soft as well, and 9 times out of 10 is not going to be given. Sometimes it can be given, but darting forward for what? To complain at the ref? Maybe, I don't know. I hope that's what it was, because if that was a play to try to read the game and read the play from the foul and the resuming of play, if that's what you read from that play, that worries me a little bit, because you don't step forward in that. You fall back, especially when a ball is turned over. You typically fall back unless you have a really good read on where you think that next pass is going to be played. Then you step up and you try to cut it out. He was nowhere near that pass. Sar had free space. Kirkez was asleep, because I think he was assuming that the penalty was, or the foul was going to be called on Gakpo, and it's the easy finish for Sar at the end of the day, right? VVD is the blame for both of those goals, obviously, and it's unfortunate, but that's just the facts of how it is, right? And my main qualms with the formation today was the same qualms that I've had with the formation all preseason, right? The left back and the right back. It's not that they're too far up the pitch, because I think they did well. I think Frimpong and Kirkes did well in terms of not being too far up the pitch, but as Eze and Sar were just hanging out in those little pockets in between the wide backs and the CBs, and just hanging out there and having a holiday as attacking midfield. It's almost like the way Xavi Alonso sets up his Leverkusen side, and where Wirtz would occupy those little pockets of space in between those two defenders as well. They were doing the same thing as well. And Eze was having a field day. And typically, Ryan Gravenberch is the guy that deputizes those areas for Liverpool, especially when we're getting attacked down that right hand side. Surprisingly, which was not the area that was the biggest weakness, it was actually that left hand side between Kirkes and VVD. So I'm curious of where we go with that. If Ryan starts roaming back and forth between those. But how many times have we seen Ryan put in a last ditch tackle, drop in between the center backs and play as a third center back, cover for Trent as a right back and recover really well? That was not there today, because Curtis Jones just does not have the footballing IQ to play that specific position. Am I saying that he can't be in this team? Not at all. I think we need as many midfielders as we can this season, obviously. But as a DM, I don't think he is an option to replace Ryan when Ryan is out. This highlights the need and the importance of Ryan tremendously, right? He is the midfield, he is the system, which explains why Slot was playing him over and over and over again all season long, and he didn't miss a single game, because he makes the system work. And hopefully you guys saw that today. And I was saying this in the Discord, Maka is a fantastic player and probably one of our best midfielders. Him and Wirtz are right there with each other. But Ryan is the midfield. He's our most important midfielder. Maka cannot do what Ryan does because physically he just cannot. Because he's not 6'3" and moves with the ball like he's Maka size, right? Because he just does not have the pace to recover and get back and be an extra defender and then also pirouette and then dance away and get the ball back to safety. That's just not in Maka's game. Ryan does that tremendously well, and it's very, very important for this Liverpool side. And where Eze was drifting into those spaces, Ryan is shutting that down 9 times out of 10. Where Sarr is drifting across the box from the left-hand side, where VVD gives away that penalty, Ryan is there instead of VVD. And unfortunately, Jones was not, and Sabo was not, right? There to help VVD be a great defender. It's very important that Ryan stays on this side. And it's very important that maybe we find a solution as to where what happens if he gets injured? What happens to the side if he gets injured? Endo looked desperate, extremely desperate today in that center back position or that CDM position. Maka still working towards fitness. Sabo is good in that 8 position, but good in Maka's position next to Ryan Gravenberch. So it's very interesting, and I think it begs a really serious question for this Liverpool side. And I may be reading too much into this, man. I know it's preseason, I know it's Community Shield, all of that stuff. I get it, but I'm seeing things in there that I'm hoping that Arne Slot will address, and I feel like he will because he's a smart manager and I trust him. But these are things that I'm just seeing. But like I was saying, it begs the question: do we need Alexander Isak after all of this? And I've said this in the last video, and I'm going to say it again. Do you spend 150 million on a forward who doesn't help some of the deficiencies in your side, who essentially helps none of the deficiencies in your side? And I get it. Mo Salah is in the twilight of his career. We don't know how much longer he's going to be able to produce at the level that he's producing at. So you do need a replacement for him in the goal output. So I get that. But do you spread that money out a little smarter, maybe, and you go for a left wing and give Cody Gakpo some backup or an alternative, a left wing with some pace? It's a little bit more direct. Rio is an option there. He's still very young. Do you go and get backup for Ryan Gravenberch, who is now what we understand the most important midfielder in Liverpool's entire midfield? Do you go find a guy that is big, strong, and physical that can play as a center back if needed and has great passing range and is press resistance like a Piero and Capie, right? Or do you go after an Angelo Stiller, right, who can play in that Ryan Gravenberch role very well and fantastic passing range, press resistant, very good defensive, was in the top 5 in terms of ball winning in the Bundesliga last year. I'm curious. So I don't know. I don't know what happens from here. I know we're linked with that kid from Italy, but is he ready to play in the Premier League yet? Or do you continue to rely on a VVD that is aging and a Konate that typically only really plays well with VVD in there? And if VVD isn't playing well, then Konate doesn't play well. So I'm curious of what the solutions are moving forward. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below. What needs to be added to the mix of this? I still think we're a fantastic team. Don't get me wrong. And I still think we are the team to beat. But I don't want to go through stretches again where we're questioning some of the lineups. We're questioning some of the business that's been done in this summer after such a really good window and saying, did we spend smartly? Like, that shouldn't be a question for Liverpool FC. That typically isn't a question for Liverpool FC. Did we spend smartly? I don't want to look back on this window after it being so good and thinking, damn, we bought the wrong players. We were addressing positions and problems that didn't exist when this problem has been so glaring and apparent for 4 or 5 seasons now, which is a DM, which is a real heir to VVD's throne. I'm interested. So let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you guys again for watching the video. Subscribe to the channel, please. And let me know what your thoughts down below. Who was the man of the match for you today? And what do you think? Where does this Liverpool side go from here? What does Arne Slot need to do? I don't know. Don't panic too much. It's preseason. I'm sure Arne will figure it out. But there are questions to be asked. See you guys on the next one. Peace. Boom.